What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in today to Airbnb Rental Empire and the latest video I got here. I appreciate the new subscribers. Thank you guys for the support. I'm happy to be doing this and helping all you guys on your journey to financial independence and also independence of time. So today I want to talk to you guys about what I look for in a location when searching for a new Airbnb property. So within a city, you still have micro neighborhoods and locations that you have to choose from to make a decision on if it's a good location and a good fit or not. And what I mean by that is you're gonna have good streets, bad streets, busy streets, not busy streets, bad neighborhoods, good neighborhoods, etc. So with that being said, there's a lot of decisions to be made there, and especially if you guys are just getting into this and it's your first property, you're probably going to be a little bit nervous about where you select your property to be. I have now, at this point, I have enough properties in the portfolio, and I've been doing this a long time, that I really know what it is that I want in every property. Now let me talk about the things actually that I do not want when looking for a property. The first thing that I don't want is I do not want a super nice neighborhood. A super nice neighborhood is going to cause you nothing but problems. The reason being, in my opinion, is that in a super nice neighborhood you have people with money, and people with money tend to be very picky, very insular, in terms of they do not like outsiders in their neighborhood. They're looking at, the newspaper guy when he comes into the neighborhood. They are really have their eyes and pulse on the neighborhood in terms of what's going on right there. It's not to say that you're doing anything that's illegal, because you're not. You're doing everything hopefully on the up and up with permits and everything. But nevertheless, neighbors, if they're upset with you constantly, that is going to cause you problems. And what you don't want is you don't want neighbors calling you all the time. You don't want neighbors calling the city all the time. And you definitely don't want your neighbors calling Airbnb. Those are the kind of things that actually happen in these super nice neighborhoods, is they will do that. I've gotten, now I have a couple properties that are still in relatively nice neighborhoods, but it's definitely not something that I look for now. And those neighbors are quick to call Airbnb, and they're also quick to call the city. Now, the second thing that I try to avoid when getting a new Airbnb is this kind of ties into the first one, I avoid very quiet streets. The reason being, it's the same thing. You're calling attention to your property as an Airbnb. It's just the nature of the business. You have a lot of people coming and going from the property. You have people coming in with luggage, calling Ubers, friends, etc. Whatever it is, there's a lot of traffic associated with an Airbnb. That's just a fact. On a very quiet street, the neighbors are going to be upset. They're used to their neighborhood being very quiet and peaceful, and now you have this Airbnb, which no matter how good you run it, you're still going to have a lot of traffic there, and it's going to cause some problems. If you could somehow actually get to know the neighbors ahead of time, that's always a bonus, and I definitely recommend that. But it's not as if when you're selecting a property, you're not always gonna have a chance to meet the neighbors beforehand. If I could meet all the neighbors beforehand, I would. And now actually sometimes what I'll even do is, if there's a convenient opportunity and I see one of the neighbors when I'm looking at the property, I will go talk to them, and I will just tell them that I'm thinking about renting the property. I'm not gonna tell them that I'm Airbnb-ing it, but I just try to get a feeling for what kind of a person they are. Are they going to be somebody that's going to complain a lot, or are they going to be somebody that's going to be pretty chill and allow you to operate your business? Now, the third thing that I try to avoid when picking my Airbnb selection, that is a property with lack of privacy. I do not want a backyard that has, a neighbor's window looking into the backyard. That is going to cause you problems. Your Airbnb tenants are going to complain about it in reviews for sure, because they're not going to have privacy to do what they want to do when they're spending top dollar to have a vacation and enjoy your nice backyard. Secondly, the neighbors themselves don't want to be peering into the backyard and seeing all the activity that's going on in an Airbnb, because when people are on vacation, they're enjoying themselves. All kinds of things are going to happen. Hopefully, everything is on the up and up. But again, you're going to have people drinking back there. You're going to have people listening to music back there. If you just have couples back there, you're going to have people. If you have a swimming pool, it's just a fact. People are going to be out there swimming naked, etc. Hopefully it ends at that in terms of what the neighbors are going to see. But nevertheless, the lack of privacy in a backyard, or in the house for that matter, is going to cause you problems. The backyard is more important for sure. If you have, a neighbor's window that peers into the kitchen or something like that, it's not the end of the world. but nevertheless, it's still not an ideal situation. You're gonna have to take those on a case-by-case basis and look at it. Now, what you can do, and what I do often, because oftentimes a bedroom or something like that, there will be a neighbor's window that does have an angle into it. I'll put up sheer curtains, and if it's not suitable for curtains, then what I'll do is I'll put a frosted glass layer. It's like a stickum that goes onto the glass. You can buy that at Home Depot, buy it on Amazon, and it makes the window frosted white so that you can't see out and you can't see in, but light still comes in. So that's a great tool to help you out there if you do have a little bit of a privacy issue. You also have to think about the lack of privacy at the entrance to the property when people are entering the property. You may have a driveway very close to a neighbor. For instance, a neighbor's front door, you have a driveway that doesn't have a fence or something. If all the people are going to be parking right there and every day coming out with luggage and walking right by the neighbor's front door or close to the neighbor's front door, that could cause you an issue. I would try to avoid that. Again, you're gonna have to balance it, how good the other aspects of the property are versus that. Now that we've talked about the things that I do not want in a property, let me talk about the things that I do look for in a property. Now, the first thing, now that I'm experienced in this and I've done this a long time, I'm actually looking for properties that are on a busy street. Believe it or not, that is what I'm doing. It doesn't mean that I'm only renting properties on a busy street, but properties on a busy street are actually more appealing to me. And the reason is, one, is typically the rent is going to be cheaper because you have ordinary tenants are going to perceive that as not as favorable as a quiet neighborhood, where if you just have a family and you're moving and you're looking for a place to live, you don't want to be on a busy street typically. You want to be in a quiet neighborhood, exactly the area that we talked about there in the first step, that you don't want to be with an Airbnb. So, if you're on a busy street with your Airbnb, the rent's going to be cheaper and you're going to have less problems with noise from the Airbnb. The noise, no matter how much you try to keep it down, it is going to be a factor with your Airbnb. If you're in a quiet neighborhood, there is going to be some level of noise emanating from the Airbnb as people come and go. You just can't help it. You can tell people to be quiet, but it's never going to be perfect. So when you're located on a busy street, what you have then is you have a protection, you have a layer of protection from the traffic and the noise that comes from that traffic. You're gonna have a layer of protection in terms of the noise that the Airbnb tenants are making for your neighbors. Now, item number 2 that I'm looking for when choosing my Airbnb location is I am actually looking for a blue collar area. Now, it doesn't have to be completely blue collar area, but again, it goes back to what I said I do not want. I do not want to be in a very rich neighborhood. I do not want to be in a very posh neighborhood because the neighbors are going to be in your shit and they're going to be bothering you and you're going to have issues keeping that Airbnb. In a blue collar neighborhood, people are more laid back. People are going to be more tolerant of you operating your business. Everybody is working class. They're trying to get ahead in life. They're hustling and doing this. And in general, they're going to appreciate and respect your hustle at the same time. Somebody in a posh neighborhood, they're not going to respect the fact that you're doing Airbnb and you're trying to run a business. There's no way. So in this working class blue neighborhood, you're going to have a lot better relationship with the neighbors and you're going to get them to complain a lot less to Airbnb, complain less to the city, and complain less to you, which are all things that are going to be beneficial for your operation. Now, another thing which also kind of ties into the other ones that I mentioned, what I look for is apartments nearby. If I have apartments across the street and I'm in a single family residence, which I primarily look for, basically only look for single family residences, but if I have apartments across the street, that ties into the other things. That is what I like to have. That is going to generally be a little bit more blue collar, a little bit more working class, and you also just have traffic that comes from having an apartment building. You have a lot of people living there, and you're gonna have people coming and going, and the fact that those people are coming and going, when people are coming and going from your Airbnb, that's going to be nullified by the fact that the whole neighborhood has more comings and goings. So that is definitely going to be something that's going to work to your advantage, and if you have the opportunity to get something with apartments nearby, I would take it. Now, those are the things that I primarily look for. These are not concrete rules that you have to live by when looking for an Airbnb, but you do need to be mindful of it, for sure. I just passed on a property last week that had a lot of things going for it and I was interested in it, but the privacy was an issue and also the street was just too quiet. It was at the end of a cul-de-sac, or not at the end of a cul-de-sac, but on a cul-de-sac. And in a situation like that, all the neighbors know each other. The houses in a cul-de-sac, it's naturally a circle. All those houses face each other. I don't want that. I don't want everybody looking into my property, and I don't want my Airbnb tenants looking into other people's properties. No matter how tempting it was, because I saw other aspects of the property that would work, in that case, I had to balance it out. I said, okay, this property, has some things working for it, but then I weighed the cons against that, and the cons, outweighed the benefits. So I passed on that property. There's nothing worse than getting into a property and just having problems from day one. That's just going to make more stress for you and make it more difficult for you to have a profitable operation. And the goal here, obviously, when you're getting your first Airbnb or adding to your Airbnb portfolio, is to have a profitable operation while at the same time not spending inordinate amounts of time that you need to babysitting and putting out fires from things that are occurring in the neighborhood or things that your Airbnb tenants are doing and is upsetting neighbors. So the idea is we want properties that are going to operate with as minimal work as possible. It's always going to have some level of work. That's just the nature of the beast. But the more things that you can do to minimize that, that's going to make your life easier and you're going to sleep better at night. There's nothing worse than waking up in the morning or waking up in the middle of the night to a text from a neighbor that, is complaining because the tenants are going crazy. The tenants are up at 1 in the morning and they're blasting music outside. You have cars racing up and down the street. You have a party, you have a fight, you have whatever, all these sort of things. These are all things that I've come across in the 10 plus years that I've been doing Airbnb. I've come across everything you could imagine. The good, bad, and the ugly. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys haven't already subscribed, I ask you, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit the like, and definitely send me any comments that you have. I'm here to help you guys. I'm going to answer your questions. And you can ask me very specific questions and pointed questions to your situation, and I will do my best to answer them for you with the information that I have. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll be back next week with a new video.